Hey everybody, my name is Samuel K, and this morning I had ice cream for breakfast. I guess you could say I've got some issues. This week's issues coming at you right now. Listed on the screen here, all the comic books that I read this week. So a little bit about this show, since this is my first episode. I've been a long-time comics books fan. Comics books fan? Wow, we're off to a great start there. I've been a long-time comic book fan. I've been reading them ever since I was in elementary school. I had an older cousin who would always let me borrow his comics. I've gone through several dark ages where I didn't read any comics at all. And just recently, in the last year or so, I've gotten interested in comics again, and so I started reading them. I actually went through and I read every comic released by Marvel from January of this year all the way up until now, so I am completely caught up on Marvel. I want to do a little show about comic books so I can talk about a thing I like, because none of my friends like comics, so I'm just kind of in this boat by myself. If you want to talk to me about any of these comics, or comment in the comment below in the YouTube video, I'm also going to have some contact information for me at the end of the video if you want to get in on the discussion. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Each week I'm going to highlight some of the comics that I appreciated the most, show you some panels and things that I liked, and yeah, we'll just talk about some comics. It's going to be a chill time. So, let's see. First thing that I wanted to talk about this week was Captain America #1. Captain America #1, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, art by Lionel Francis Yu, and a cover by Alex Ross. I didn't read really any of the Hydra Cap stories. I kind of know what went on because Twitter blew up about it, because Captain America was a Nazi for a little bit. I also know from reading other comic books that he tricked Deadpool into doing some shit, and basically Hydra took over the United States, and there's still some problems going on with that. I really, I don't know, I've never really followed Captain America, but I've been reading these comics ever since it got up to Captain America #700, where he was being hunted by Kraven the Hunter, and then he got trapped in the future, then he came back in time, and all this other stuff happened. Right now, the only thing that I really wanted to discuss about this comic is, I thought it was really funny that Captain America has a little hole cut in his helmet for his ear. For some reason, that really made me laugh. It's a silly design. It looked stupid without his ear poking through too. But I don't know, just the little hole, his little ear sticking out tickled me. In the movie, he's got this leather hat and a chin strap, and it just goes over his ear. Excuse me, but yeah, the little hole cut for his ear really tickles me. I don't know why. But yeah, it's going okay. Captain America's got some problems he needs to clean up after, an imposter that looked like him turned out to be a Nazi, and whatever. It doesn't matter. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, the next one, Cosmic Ghostwriter. Pretty cool book so far. The thing with Cosmic Ghostwriter is it started out with a Thanos, I guess, mini-series or maxi-series or something like that had 20 issues, I think, about how Thanos is so desperately driven to do all this stuff. Basically what happened is, the Ghostwriter was Thanos' herald, much like the Silver Surfer and Galactus. So, hey look, my logo is back in the background. I'm just gonna leave that there. This is the first episode. So, this Ghostwriter, I guess, ended up being Frank Castle, which, I'm a huge Punisher fan. I love the Punisher. He's one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe, because, you have a universe that is full of, ancient beings of immeasurable power, and literal gods, and science experiments gone wrong that just have these colossal amazing powers, and then you just have Frank Castle, who is the guy with PTSD and a machine gun. Like, it really tickles me, so I've always really enjoyed Punisher stories, but, like, in the Thanos comic, his role as the Cosmic Ghostwriter and Herald of Thanos, was, like, he was, like, joking around and stuff, and I think even being driven insane by the spirit of the Ghostwriter, I don't think Frank would be a very jovial guy. So what I do appreciate about this is that he, has gone back to being kind of a grim badass, in these. One thing that I really like, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna call, like, okay, here's the segment for the first episode. It's just my panel of the week, which is usually gonna be multiple panels, but I really like this one. He's fighting, this dude in Valhalla, because Odin pulled some strings to get Frank Castle into Valhalla in this comic, which is really cool. Yeah, where did you learn, or who taught you how to fight? Thanos, the devil, in the United States Marine Corps. Like, those are the worst answers for that, when you're trying to, like, tease somebody. So, yeah, I really liked that, is Frank Castle kicking a god's ass in Valhalla. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this series. They cut back on a lot of, like, the Ghostwriter joking around shit, and now he's just more Frank Castle with superpowers, which I'm gonna like. And I like the artwork in this. It doesn't look like the artwork in other comics, which is a big thing you'll hear me harping on quite a lot. Moving right along, we got Deadpool number 2. I'm iffy on Deadpool. The last Dark Ages I went into where I stopped reading comics was just because Deadpool was just all over the fucking place. And, like, Deadpool had, like, 9 books. There was, like, Deadpool, and there was, like, Deadpool Core, where, like, there were Deadpools from other places. Like, Girl Deadpool, and Dog Deadpool, and Zombie Deadpool were all in the thing. And there was Deadpool Team Up that was going on. I appreciate now that Deadpool has just been cut down to 2, I think 3 comic books now. And so I really, I'm enjoying this too. A lot of shit was going on with Deadpool that I didn't understand before they did this Marvel Legacy reboot thing. I guess like Cable's clone or Cable from another universe or something. I'm not sure what that character was. Had blackmailed Deadpool, and I guess Deadpool had a daughter or something. I don't know. I haven't been following it, but it was really confusing, and I didn't really like it. And I'm glad at the end of it, Deadpool causes massive brain damage to himself, so he reboots himself, basically, which was kind of fun. And in this new series, basically this giant monster has shown up on Earth, and Deadpool is the only one that has a weapon that can defeat it. And so the Avengers are trying to get Deadpool to play ball, and Deadpool isn't taking no for an answer on joining the Avengers, which is kind of fun. Also, I really liked this exchange between Deadpool and Captain America. When Deadpool breaks his sword on Cap's shield and then just kind of punts it into Cap's face and then runs off like Joseph Joestar. That really tickled me, so I included it here on my show, because it's my show and I can talk about all the stuff I like in it. The other comic that I wanted to talk about this week was Weapon X. Weapon X, written by Greg Pak and Fred Van Lente. Art by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz, and a cover by Raza. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. First off, like, if anything's written by Greg Pak or Fred Van Lente, I want to read it, because they did The Incredible Hercules, which is one of my all-time favorite superhero comics. In it, Hercules and his teenage sidekick Amadeus Cho, the 6th smartest man in the world and future Incredible Hulk, go on a basic, like, intergalactic, interdimensional road trip and go on adventures and fight gods and stuff, and it's really funny and it's really good. And they really, like, kind of play fast and loose with, like, the rules of comic books. Really entertaining stuff. So, Greg Pak and Fred Van Lente, good job. I like your comics. these covers are really cool too. This one isn't so great, but like this Raza guy has been doing these like really weird semi-photorealistic covers where things are like weirdly foreshortened and things. I kind of really like this guy's art style. I'm usually not into realistic looking stuff, but yeah, I'm enjoying these. I like this one a lot, that has Sabretooth covered in blood holding a world's best boss mug. Yeah, I really like this artwork that he's doing. Also, issue 20, which is what I read this week, has a new artist starting out, Ricardo Lopez Ortiz, and he's doing some really interesting stuff with just shapes and facial expressions and like these like textures in the background and stuff. I really like the way that he's doing things. Very kind of cartoony, and everything looks all squashy and fun. So I'm looking forward to see his run on this, because I like interesting art in comics. That's one thing that American comics like kind of irritate me with, is all of the art kind of looks the same sometimes. Like, I don't like realistic looking art. I like this kind of cartoony looking stuff. It's much better. Yeah, that's Weapon X. I've not ever been like super big into the X books. I like the X-Men quite a bit, but for some reason it gets too complicated sometimes. But Weapon X is pretty fun so far. So look, I can scroll through these at will. Yeah, those are some fun drawings. The main thing that I really wanted to talk about here was I did a run on an entire series this week. Saga by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Fiona Staples. Saga's 52, 53 issues so far, and I read them all in the last week. I absolutely got hooked to it. It's a sci-fi space fantasy, and there's like robots and dragons and like fairy people and like animal people. Like, they deal with like drug addiction, and there's like cute little guys running around, and there's death, and there's like all this horrific violence. A lot of the writing reminds me like a little bit of what like Garth Ennis would do, who did like Preacher and some runs on Punisher. It's kind of this unflinching sort of writing where they show like violence and pain and like sex and stuff like that in very realistic lights. I compare it to Garth Ennis, but like, by which I mean if Garth Ennis had like something other to say than like a competency beyond macho posturing. It's that kind of level of violence and stuff like that without being an edgelord. That's something that I'm really enjoying about what Brian K. Vaughan is doing in his writing. Like, there's characters that are LGBT plus in the comic. There's gay characters, bi characters, there's a trans character. And for Brian K. Vaughan being a straight white dude writing these characters, like, he went beyond just like, oh, this character's whole thing is he's gay, or this character's whole thing is she's trans. They actually have a personality beyond their sexual identity, which is very unusual to see coming from a straight writer. And that's one thing I really like. He treats these characters as people and not just, you know, like, this is what they are, let's put them out there. Very cool stuff. And also, you know, they're not there to be like martyrs or to teach anybody a lesson. It's, you know, like, these people are people you know, which is very nice. My favorite characters are, of course, the sad sacks. Prince Robot the Fourth. Like, his full name is Prince Robot the Fourth, so of course he's my favorite character. And then there's a mercenary assassin guy named the Will, who is awesome. They're both just pathetic sad sacks, which I like. But, like, the Will knows he's a pathetic sad sack, and Prince Robot the Fourth doesn't really know that he's a pathetic sad sack, which makes them both very fun. The last issue that I read was issue 53, and it ended on quite the cliffhanger, and I think the next issue comes out next week. So I'll try not to talk about any spoilers with that if anybody wants to get into it. Saga was fantastic, though. So what's coming up? I'm looking forward to reading Fables. I've never read Fables, and so I've added that to my list of things that I'm going to read. I'll give you an update on how I feel about Fables next week. I primarily read Marvel comics, as you may have noticed. If anybody has any suggestions from DC or Image or Dark Horse or anything like that, even manga, I read some manga too. It's just that nothing I read came out with a new one this week. But if anything does, I will absolutely 100% bring that up within the show. If you have any suggestions for me, anything you want to see me talk about, let me know. I'll throw my 2 cents in. Here's how you can get a hold of me, in fact. Let's get rid of the logo so you can read that. I'm at Samu3LK on Twitter, or Samu3LK@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with me, just let me know. We can talk about comic books. I'll read your stuff on the show. But yeah, I think that's my first episode there. Didn't want it to be too long. Not too shabby for the first one. I just wanted to say, my music is by Kevin MacLeod. You can find him on YouTube. He's got a bunch of royalty-free music. He's known as the Royalty-Free King on YouTube. And I just played his ska playlist. I'll go through and find, yeah, if you guys are musicians, you want me to use your music in the background here, let me know. I'll do it. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to make a show here. So that's it. That's this week for Samuel K. Has Issues. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And mash that motherfucking like button. That's the thing that you say on YouTube. Whatever. Bye.